The C-130 Hercules was the world's most reliable military cargo aircraft. 6 decades of service, thousands of missions, but on the night of October 23, 2016, a plane that took off from JBR, Alaska never landed. The 12 tons of classified material it carried vanished with it. 4 years later, the truth that emerged was worse than anyone feared. This is the story of how a routine cargo flight became one of the darkest secrets in American military history. And trust me, when you hear the ending, everything will look different. October 23, 2016, 6:45 p.m., Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson, Alaska. Temperature 18 degrees Fahrenheit, wind speed 25 knots. It looked like a normal autumn evening, but the atmosphere inside Hangar 7 was anything but normal. When Captain Michael Torres, 42 years old, with 18 years of experience, entered the briefing room, he immediately knew something was wrong. Everyone was there, but nobody was talking. First Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell, his co-pilot, was reviewing files, but her eyes were stuck on the same line. Technical Sergeant Robert Chen, a flight engineer with hundreds of flights under his belt, was trying to hide the trembling in his hands. "All right, people," Torres said as he approached the table. "What kind of mission has everyone acting like it's a funeral?" Staff Sergeant David Martinez, the loadmaster, slid a folder toward Torres. Red stamped, triple locked, in the metallic case. Arctic Shadow was written on it. "Is this a joke?" Torres said. Arctic Shadow was a project name he'd only heard in legends. The kind of operation that required level 5 security clearance, the kind even the Pentagon didn't know the details of. Captain Lisa Rodriguez, the navigator, opened the map. "Takeoff at 2,100 hours. Target coordinates." She paused, double-checking. Target coordinates are Alaska interior, 340 miles north of Denali National Park. Not even on the map. "What's the cargo?" Torres asked, but nobody answered his question. Mitchell spoke quietly. "You don't need to know. Just deliver and return. 12 tons, special packaging, transported in climate-controlled compartment. 3 security personnel will accompany us. Airman Wilson, Thompson, and Johnson. Armed." Torres' heart rate increased. In 18 years, he'd never had armed security personnel on board. "What are we carrying?" "Nuclear weapons." "Don't ask," Rodriguez said. "Don't ask questions. Don't expect answers. Just fly." Chen was checking engine parameters. Aircraft tail number 130 to 7,749. Last maintenance was yesterday. Everything's nominal. "But," he stopped. "But what?" Torres asked. "But this aircraft has had a special modification. An external power system was added to the cargo bay." "Don't ask why. I don't know. I just noticed it 2 hours ago." Martinez showed a photo of the load. Black, rectangular, metal crates. Each one the size of a refrigerator. No markings on them, just barcode numbers. "These will be loaded at 2,030 hours. Not our job. A special team will load them." Torres closed the folder. "Flight time?" 3 hours 40 minutes, Rodriguez said. "But the return route is different. Direct outbound, return follows the coastline." "Why?" "Radar coverage. On the way out, will disappear from radar." Torres looked up at his crew. All in their 20 seconds and 30 seconds, experienced, trained people. But right now, he saw the same thing in all their eyes. Fear. "Listen, people," Torres said. "If you don't want to do this, say so now. Nobody's forcing anyone to go." Nobody spoke, but nobody backed out either. "Okay, pre-flight check at 2,000 hours. Wheels up at 2,100. We'll be back before midnight." But they never came back. 8:15 p.m. Hangar 7's outer doors opened and 2 black trucks entered. No license plates, tinted windows. 3 Humvees followed behind them, filled with armed soldiers. Torres watched from the cockpit. "This isn't normal," he said to Mitchell. "Nothing is normal," Mitchell replied. The truck's rear doors opened. A 6-person team began unloading the crates with special equipment. Not forklifts, but specialized hydraulic systems. Each crate was scanned with an electronic device as it was positioned. Martinez was waiting in the cargo bay. "These are very cold," he said over the radio. "I touched one with my hand. Ice cold. The AC system is already running, but these are being cooled separately." "What's the temperature?" Chen asked. "-40 degrees. The cargo bay is like a freezer." Torres continued watching from the window. For a moment, he saw a light flashing on one of the crates. Red, pulsing like a heartbeat. "Martinez, are there lights on the crates?" "Yes, Captain. 3 with red LEDs, 2 with green, 1 with nothing." "What does it mean?" "I don't know, sir. Nobody's saying anything." The loading team's leader came up to the cockpit. He had captain's insignia but no name tag. "Captain Torres?" "Yes." "Cargo's loaded. I'm going to give you 3 instructions. First, the cargo bay is off limits. Martinez, after loading is complete, you'll move forward. Second, you will not shut down the climate system under any circumstances. Third, if you notice any anomalies, you will not land. You will return directly." "Anomalies? What kind?" The man didn't answer. He just handed over an envelope. "When you reach the coordinates, you'll land on the ground. Nobody will meet you. You'll open the rear door of the cargo bay. The crates will be unloaded automatically. You'll stay in the cockpit. 15 minutes later, you'll take off again." "Who's going to unload the crates?" "Don't ask, Captain. Just do it." The man went down. The door closed. Torres looked at Mitchell. "Can this be real?" Mitchell shrugged. "I've been doing this for 18 years. I've never seen anything like this." Chen checked the systems. Everything's green. But cargo bay power consumption is 3 times normal. Those crates are drawing a lot of power. Rodriguez entered the coordinates into GPS. Coordinates are Alaska interior. No structures on the map. Just mountains and forest. "Is there a runway?" Torres asked. "Not on the map. But that doesn't mean there isn't one." Airman Wilson, Thompson, and Johnson moved to the rear section. All were armed with M4 rifles. They had radio headsets but weren't talking to anyone. "Who are these guys talking to?" Mitchell said. "Not us," Torres said. 8:55 p.m. Clearance came from the tower. Tail 7,749. Cleared for takeoff. Runway 06. Wind 270 at 22 knots. Torres pushed the throttles forward. 4 Allison T-56 turboprop engines roared. The C-130 slowly began accelerating. "V1, rotate," Mitchell said. The plane lifted off, climbing into Alaska's dark sky. Gear up, flaps up, heading 345. Torres looked down. JBR's lights were receding. Ahead was only darkness. "Notice something strange?" Chen said. "What?" "Tower didn't give us next instructions. Normally they follow us by radio, but this time, nothing. It's like we became invisible." Rodriguez checked the radar. "Because we are. Transponder off, ADS-B off. We're flying at a frequency that minimizes radar reflection. Civilian radar can't see us. Military radar, they'll see us but won't recognize us. We'll just be noise." Torres climbed to 25,000 feet. Autopilot engaged. And at that moment, the first anomaly began. 47 minutes after takeoff, 9:47 p.m. Torres was doing a routine system check. Everything looked normal. Until he heard Chen's voice. "Captain, there's a problem with cargo bay temperature." "How much has it dropped?" "It hasn't dropped. It's risen. From -40 to -10. "Is the AC malfunctioning?" "No, the AC is running at full power. But something is generating heat from one of the crates." Torres turned on the cargo camera. The black and white image was unclear, but he saw vapor around one of the crates. "Martinez, can you see the situation?" Martinez didn't answer. "Martinez, do you copy?" Still no answer. Torres unbuckled his seatbelt. "Mitchell, you've got the aircraft. Chen, come with me." They walked through the corridor from the cockpit to the rear section. It was a cold, metallic corridor. When they reached the cargo bay door, Wilson stopped in front of them. "You can't enter, Captain." "I can't communicate with Martinez. I'm doing a status check." Orders were clear. No entry. Torres looked into Wilson's eyes. "When a soldier's life is at risk, orders change. Move aside." Wilson stepped aside, but didn't lower his rifle. Torres opened the door. The cargo bay was like a glacier. Their breaths came out as vapor. The crates were secured to metallic platforms, and the middle crate was vibrating. Martinez was standing by the crate, his hand on it. His eyes were open, but his gaze was empty. "Martinez!" Torres shouted. Martinez turned his head, slowly, very slowly. "Captain," he said, his voice hoarse and strange. "Can you hear this?" "Hear what?" "The sound, coming from inside the crate. A buzzing." "No." "A whisper." "No." He stopped. "It's talking." Chen approached the crate. The LED light was now flashing faster. "Captain, this crate is emitting an abnormal amount of electromagnetic field. My equipment is going crazy." Torres put his ear close to the crate, and he heard it. Very faint, almost imperceptible. A frequency, right at the edge of what the human ear could hear. Low, vibrating, rhythmic. And something else, not words. But there was a message. He could feel it inside his brain. "We're turning back," Torres said. "Now." "What?" Chen said. "We're still 120 miles from coordinates. We're turning back." Torres ran to the cockpit. He yelled at Mitchell. "Turn 180 degrees. Emergency return." "But Captain..." "Increase altitude. Now." Mitchell took control. The plane banked left and turned. And at that moment, a voice came over the radio. A voice they didn't recognize. Deep, robotic, cold. "Tail 7749, complete your mission." Torres checked the radio frequency. They were on the correct frequency. But this voice wasn't coming from the tower. "Who is this?" "Identify yourself." "Complete your mission, Captain Torres. Otherwise your aircraft will crash." Mitchell looked at Torres. Her eyes widened with fear. "Is this real?" Torres turned off the radio. "I'm taking authority. Go into manual control. Climb to 30,000 feet, maximum speed." But at that moment, one of the engines began to shake. "Number 3 engine. Oil pressure dropping," Chen shouted. "Temperature rising." Torres looked at the engine controls. Engine number 3 was giving a red alarm. "Throttle back on 3. Prepare fire suppression system." Mitchell pulled back the throttle, but the engine didn't respond. Power continued to increase. "Not responding," Mitchell said. "No control." Chen opened the engine panel. He tried to manually cut the relays. Electrical system has been bypassed. Engines are being controlled from an external source. "What?" Torres couldn't believe it. "That's impossible." "It's not impossible," Chen said. "Those systems in the cargo bay, they're connected to the engines. They've taken control of the aircraft." Rodriguez checked the navigation screen. "We're losing GPS. Autopilot is directing us to different coordinates." Torres switched to manual control. He pulled the yoke, but the plane didn't respond. It was moving independently. "We've lost hydraulics," Mitchell said. "Flight controls not responding." The plane was slowly turning right. The control sticks remained motionless in Torres's hands, but the plane was moving on its own. "Chen, cut those systems, all of them." Chen ran to the cargo bay. When he reached the crates, Martinez was still there, but now he was standing by all 6 crates. His hands were on the crates. His eyes were closed. His lips were moving, whispering something. "Martinez, get away from there." Martinez opened his eyes, but his eyes weren't normal. The pupils had dilated too much. Almost the entire eye was black. "Too late," Martinez said, but the voice wasn't his. It was deeper, colder. "It's already begun." Chen grabbed the fire extinguisher. He ran toward one of the crates, tried to cut the electrical cables, and at that moment, an electrical arc like lightning struck his hand. Chen flew backward, hitting the wall and falling to the floor. In the cockpit, all the lights went out. 1 second of darkness. Then emergency lamps kicked in. Red light filled everywhere. "Total electrical failure," Mitchell said. "We're on battery power." Torres tried the radio. "Mayday, mayday, mayday. Tail 7749. Loss of control 25,000 feet. Descending." No answer, just static. Rodriguez looked out the window. "Captain, Look outside. Torres looked out the window, and what he saw froze him. On the wings, there was a green light. Phosphorescent, glowing, moving waves. It was enveloping the entire aircraft. What is this? Mitchell shouted. Not Aurora Borealis, Rodriguez said. This is something else. And at that moment, the plane suddenly leveled off. The engines returned to normal, lights came back on, controls returned. Torres moved the yoke. It was responding. What happened? Mitchell said. Chen returned to the cockpit. His face was burned. His hand was shaking. That thing, whatever it is, it's finished. It gave us back control. Why? Because it doesn't need it anymore. Look at GPS. Rodriguez looked at the screen. The coordinates had changed. They were no longer returning to JBER. They were going to the original target coordinates. No, Torres said. No. Manual navigation. Rodriguez, give me a route. Shortest path to JBER. Rodriguez opened the map. Heading 185 direct south 40 minutes. Torres turned the plane. But 15 seconds later, the engines began shaking again. That voice came over the radio again. Final warning, Captain Torres. Go to coordinates, or you all die. Torres looked at Mitchell. What he saw in Mitchell's eyes was helplessness. What do we do? Mitchell whispered. Torres looked toward the rear section. Martinez was still in the cargo bay. Wilson, Thompson, and Johnson had their weapons pointed at him at the door. And Torres realized the security personnel weren't there to protect them. They were there to protect the cargo. We're going, Torres said. We're going to the coordinates. 11:34 p.m. The plane was approaching the coordinates. Below them stretched endless darkness. Mountains, forests, no lights. 2 minutes, Rodriguez said. Coordinates ahead. Torres looked down. He couldn't see any runway. No structures, just darkness. No runway for landing, Mitchell said. You see something, said the voice from the radio. Wait. And then they saw it. In the middle of the forest, green lights appeared. They were arranged in the shape of a runway. But these weren't normal runway lights. These were shooting beams upward, painting the sky green. This can't be real, Mitchell said. Torres dropped altitude to 5,000 feet. He couldn't see the length of the runway, but the green lights formed a clear line. Landing gear down. Flaps 50%. The plane slowed, descended, passed over the treetops. 1,000 feet. 500. 200. The tires touched ground. It was a hard landing. The plane shook but stopped. Torres braked. The plane moved forward slowly. Stopped at the end of the runway. Silence. What happens now? Mitchell whispered. The rear cargo door began opening by itself. Hydraulic systems were working, but none of them had touched the control panel. Torres looked at the camera. The crates were moving slowly, detaching from platforms, descending down the ramp, but there was nobody outside. The crates slid down the ramp as if carried by invisible hands, touched the ground, and then disappeared. What? Torres looked at the camera again. The crates weren't there, as if they'd evaporated. Martinez staggered from the rear section to the cockpit. His face was pale. His eyes were bloodshot. Gone, he said. All gone. What's gone? Torres asked. I don't know, but it's not here anymore. Not inside me either. Rodriguez looked out the window. The green lights were going out, one by one disappearing, darkness returning. We need to take off, Chen said. Right now. Torres pushed the throttles forward. Engines roared. The plane began accelerating on the dark runway. Rotate. The plane lifted off, disappeared into Alaska darkness. The return flight was silent. Nobody spoke. Everyone was in shock. Torres engaged autopilot. He closed his eyes. But the moment he closed them, he heard that sound again. The whisper from the crate, echoing inside his brain. Mitchell was feeling the same thing. Captain, can you hear it too? Yes. What's it saying? I don't know, but it's frightening. Chen checked systems. Everything's back to normal. Engine parameters stable. Electrical systems nominal, like nothing happened. But it did, Rodriguez said. We all saw it. At 1:15 a.m., they entered JBER's radar. Clearance came from the tower. Tail 7749, welcome back. Clear to land, runway 06. A normal greeting, like it was a routine cargo flight. When they landed, nobody was at Hangar 7. The loading team, trucks, armed soldiers, all had disappeared. Torres got off the plane. His legs were shaking. His crew was the same. Are we going to write a report? Mitchell asked. Torres looked at the hangar. It was empty, silent. Write what? Invisible crates, green lights, loss of control. They'll think we're crazy. But it really happened. I know, but we have no proof. And at that moment, a man emerged from the darkness. He was in civilian clothes, but his posture was military. Captain Torres? Yes? You completed your mission. Thank you. What did you make us transport? The man smiled. It was a cold smile. You don't know, and you never will. Tomorrow morning, this flight will be erased from records, like it never happened. Understood? Torres took a step toward the man. That thing, whatever it was dangerous. We almost died. But you didn't. Good night, Captain. The man disappeared into the darkness. When the crew gathered in the briefing room the next day, the flight record had truly disappeared. Not in the logbook. GPS data erased. Security cameras in Hangar 7 had recorded nothing that night. Like nothing had happened. But Torres heard that sound every night. The whisper, inside his brain. And he knew that one day, those crates would return. 2020, June. A group of climbers in Denali National Park lost their route. Deviating 60 miles north, they entered an area where nobody went. And there, by the edge of a frozen lake, they found wreckage. C-130 Hercules, tail number 7749. At first, they thought it was an already reported crash, but when they checked, there was no crash record for this aircraft. Officially, it had never existed. The wreckage was strange, the plane was intact, no fire damage, no explosion. It looked like it had gently landed and stopped. But all crew seats were empty. When the recovery team arrived, they found something stranger. Inside the cargo bay, there were 6 empty platforms, attachment points for crates, but no crates. And on the floor, there was writing, scratched into the metal with something sharp. They came back. Forensic analysis showed the writing was made with human fingernails. DNA belonged to Staff Surgeon David Martinez, but Martinez's body was never found. None of the crew's bodies were found. The official report said aircraft 7749 disappeared on the 23rd of October 2016 due to mechanical failure. No survivors. Case closed. But in the report, there was a classified addendum. Only 3 people in the Pentagon could access it. It said, Arctic Shadow Project experienced critical containment failure. All 6 units breached protocol. Current location, unknown. Threat level, catastrophic. Recommendation, do not pursue. Do not investigate. Do not acknowledge. And at the bottom, one sentence. If you hear the whisper, it's already too late. Today, if you search military records, you won't find tail number 7749. You won't find Captain Michael Torres, Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell, Sergeant Robert Chen, Sergeant David Martinez, or Captain Lisa Rodriguez. Their service records were erased. Their families were told they died in a training accident. The crash site in Denali was removed. No trace left. But here's what they couldn't erase. Every year, on October 23rd, pilots flying over northern Alaska report the same thing. Green lights in the forest, forming a runway pattern, and a voice on the emergency frequency. Tail 7749. Complete your mission. Some say it's electromagnetic interference. Some say it's Aurora Borealis. But the pilots who've heard it, they know different. They know that somewhere in Alaska's darkness, 6 metal crates are waiting. And one day, someone will find them. And when they do, the whisper will begin again. This story was based on classified documents leaked in 2023. The US military denies all of it. But ask yourself this: if it never happened, why are there still restricted zones in northern Alaska? Why do commercial flights avoid certain coordinates? And why, on October 23rd every year, does JBER run a drill called Arctic Shadow Protocol? Maybe some cargo should never be delivered.